Bosch CM10GD versus Makita LS1019L. Straight up, the real fight here isn't power or blade size, it's how each one fits against a wall without losing accuracy. And that single design choice changes who should buy which. Both land in a similar range, both cut clean when tuned, but they're built for different shops. If you're hugging a back wall in a tight garage and need zero rear clearance, one of these is obvious. If you're hauling it to job sites and want lighter weight with a tighter footprint when folded, the other makes more sense. Both linked below. Out-of-box accuracy. This is where the whole purchase lives or dies. Both saws can cut dead square once dialed in, and both have owners reporting perfect miters and bevels right from the carton, but the pattern is different between them. The Bosch CM10GD tends to land closer to ready to go. Most owners describe minor tweaks at setup, and then it just holds. The axial glide arm has a reputation for staying tight over time, with less of that slow rail slop you get on traditional sliders after a year of bouncing around. Real talk, the few complaints I've seen about the Bosch losing square come from people who push hard mid-cut, and even those are isolated. The Makita LS1019L cuts gorgeously when it's right. The 90-degree crosscuts are some of the cleanest in this class, glassy enough that Finnish carpenters keep recommending it for stain-grade work. But there's a recurring note worth knowing. A portion of units arrive with the head and rails not perfectly parallel, and those alignment points aren't user-adjustable. Makita service tends to swap them quickly, but it's a check you actually need to perform on day one. There's an owner who only caught it months later because they kept blaming their own technique. If you buy this one, run a square against the blade and a dial check on the slide before you commit to keep it. So both can be precision tools. The Bosch is more consistently right out of the box. The Makita rewards you with slightly cleaner cuts when you win the QC lottery. Now, footprint. This is half the reason these saws exist. The Bosch's Axial Glide is the cleanest answer to wall clearance on the market. No rails sticking out the back, ever. You can shove it tight against drywall and still get full slide travel, around 21 inches front to back total. For a garage bench or a built-in miter station, that's the whole pitch. The Makita is also compact, much more so than a traditional rail slider, and the two-rail system lets it sit flush to a wall, too. Catch, the factory dust port pokes out the back and kills that flush mount. Owners have figured out you can swap in the 12-inch model's top-mounted port for cheap and fix it. Annoying that you have to, but it works. If your shop has a back wall and zero tolerance for fiddling, the Bosch wins this one outright. Dust collection. The Makita has a real edge here. And it's not close. With a vac hooked up, owners consistently report 80 to 90% capture, which for a miter saw is borderline magic. The Bosch is decent with a shop vac, better than most, but the stock chute is the weak link. A common move is to build a deeper homemade shroud, and after that it performs well. Out of the box though, the Makita keeps a cleaner bench. If you work indoors or in a finished basement, that matters more than any spec sheet shows. Capacity. Both are 10-inch saws punching at 12-inch weight. Bosch gives you up to about 12 inches of horizontal crosscut and solid vertical for base. The Makita stretches a little further on the trim side, with 5¼ inches of vertical baseboard and 6 5/8 inches of nested crown, which is genuinely 12-inch saw territory in a 10-inch package. For trim carpenters cutting tall base or nested crown all day, that extra reach shows up. One caveat, the Makita's fixed fence can get in the way on aggressive bevel cuts, and some crown specialists end up removing a section for clearance. The Bosch's tall sliding fence handle those situations more gracefully. On controls and ergonomics, both put bevel up front, and both feel refined. The Bosch handle is wider and more ambidextrous. The Makita's direct drive motor starts smoother, with no jolt. Bosch lacks a true soft start, so it kicks slightly when you pull the trigger. Small thing, but you notice it. Portability. The Bosch sits around 64 pounds. The Makita, closer to 58. Neither is light, but the Makita is the one you'd rather load into a truck twice a day. The Bosch wants a permanent home. Price. Both live in a similar range, with the Makita typically sitting a bit higher and holding its price more steadily. The Bosch tends to see deeper drops on Amazon, especially around major sale windows. What you're paying for splits cleanly. Bosch sells you the wall-hugging arm and rock-solid build. Makita sells you the dust collection, the cleaner cuts on trim, and lighter weight. Here's the call. There's no single winner here. These two solve different problems, and forcing a crown would be dishonest. The Bosch owns the wall. The Makita owns the trim bench. If your shop has a back wall, and you want zero rear clearance with rock-solid alignment out of the box, get the Bosch CM10GD. If you're cutting tall base and nested crown daily, or working indoors where dust control actually matters, the Makita LS1019L is the call. Just run a squareness check on day one. The Bosch tends to see deeper drops around major sale windows, so if budget's tight, that's the one to watch. And you, which one would you pick? Let me know in the comments. Both linked below.